Hello everyone, I am back with another video. On this channel, we do reaction videos. My name is Shaneria and this is Talking Crime. If you like drama, if you like tea, heck, if you just like to hear someone else's story, this is the channel for you. So if you're new here, hype me up, hit that subscribe button and join the family. And if you're returning, you already know we like to get straight into the reaction videos. So let's get started.
Okay, y'all, here's part one of my Netflix documentary, honey, because I'm still fucked up by this situation, and I'm still scarred by this house that I lived in. So, I found this house online, perfect, beautiful, everything I wanted. I scheduled a tour. I went to go see the house. It was just like, yes, this is what I want. The only thing that threw me off about the house, it had like a certain smell to it, but upstairs in the bathroom, it smelled horrible. Like, it smelled like something I've never smelled before. Like, I can't even describe it to you, but it was like take your breath away. You can't breathe. Like, it was really bad. So I'm walking through with the man that is giving me the tour of the house, and he's like, oh yeah, he was like, this house, nobody's lived in it for 3 months, but you got brand new carpet, freshly painted walls, you got pretty much everything that you could ask for. He said, you even got a brand new bathtub. He was like, the lady that lived here before cracked the bathtub, and so we had to put a whole new bathtub in. And I was like, okay, like, great, you know? So I'm like, but this smell, what is this smell? And he was like, I think that's just a vacancy smell. He was like, nobody's lived here for 3 months. Once you move in, that smell should go away. So I was like, okay, fine. Okay, so fast forward to like 2 weeks later, I signed my lease, I pay my deposit. Now, these people, I live in South Carolina. These people are out of California. So it's like really weird. Like, I have to do everything online, over the phone, through email. But they have people like maintenance people here that will like come out and fix the properties and stuff like that, okay? So I emailed the lady and she's like, okay, this is going to be your move-in date, your final walkthrough. And I was like, okay, cool. I said, can I go over to the house and put some plug-ins in before my move-in? I said, because it has this smell and it smells so bad. I said, I can't take it, but you know, if I could just go put some plug-ins in, I think that would help it out, you know? And I even got the email to show y'all where I emailed this, okay? I'm going to put everything, I'm going to put like all the pictures and stuff. I'm going to do a video last on that and then do a voiceover so y'all can like piece it all together, okay? Okay, y'all, here's part 3. So now we're at the move-in day, okay? So I'm doing the walkthrough. He gives me the keys. We start moving everything in. It took us all day to move our stuff. So that night, the girls were like, can we sleep with y'all? Because we're just scared. It's the new house. And I'm like, okay, fine. So there was a bathroom in my room, and then there was the hallway bathroom. So that night, they were already asleep in my bed. So I was like, okay, I'll go take a shower in the stank bathroom because I didn't want to wake them up. When I tell y'all, I take this shower. When I tell y'all I'm like holding my breath, I've never experienced a smell like this. Never. And I mean, I work in healthcare, honey, and I done had my time up in the hospital, baby. Like, I've seen a lot of stuff. I smelled a lot of stuff, but nothing like this. I'm in the shower about to fucking die. No kizzy, y'all. About to fucking croak right there. It is so horrible. I like shut the door. I'm Bath and Body Working my damn room spray. Like, nothing is helping this, okay? So the next morning when I wake up, I am on the phone with them 1-800 motherfuckers, and I say, y'all gotta get somebody on out here, honey. You gotta get somebody out here and now. I said, I can't do this. I said, we done moved in. This ain't no vacancy smell, baby. This is awful. I need somebody to come out here. So she's like, okay, great. We're gonna send the maintenance man out. I was like, all right, thank you. Okay, y'all, so now we're getting in part 4. So it's the next day. They done sent the maintenance man out, okay? This hillbilly, honey. I'm talking about, he's like, how you doing? I was like, great, come on in. I need your help. I need help. So he's like, okay, which bathroom is it? I said, oh, I'm going to take you. So we walking upstairs. He goes in the bathroom. He's like, holy shit, god damn, smells like something died in here. I said, I know. I said, I know it's really bad. I said, I can't take this. I can't live like this. I can't take the smell. He said, well, shit, I don't know what they want me to do. He said, but I don't know what that smell is. And I said, well, me neither. He said, well, I'm going to have to go out here and call them and we're going to just have to figure it out. And I said, okay. So the next day rolls around. Nobody calls me. So I'm calling again. And I was like, your maintenance man doesn't know what the fuck is going on. I said, so if you could like send a plumber out, like I don't give a fuck. Just somebody that can come and actually evaluate this situation because I can't do this. Okay? So the plumber comes out and I swear to God, y'all, all he did was flip my shower on, flip it off. He said, everything looks good to me. I said, well, we're not here for a shower problem. We're here for the fucking smell. And he was like, oh, well, I don't know what to do about that smell, but I mean, faucet looks good, your shower looks good. I'm like, just get the fuck out, because you're no fucking help, okay? No fucking help. So, as soon as he leaves, I'm back on the phone with them motherfuckers. I said, this is my third time calling about the same motherfucking situation. I said, listen, it is bad, and I cannot do it, and somebody's going to fucking help me. I said, you done sent out your maintenance man. You done sent out a motherfucking plumber. I said, you're going to have to send somebody else out. She said, let me call you back. I said, as long as you call me back, okay? Okay, y'all, part 5. So, I get a call back, but it ain't from this damn woman, okay? It's an exterminating company. They were like, is this Miss Scott? I said, this is her. They said, we got the call regarding the possible dead rats in the wall. I said, what? I said, baby, let me tell you something. If I got dead rats living up in the motherfucking wall, y'all is, I swear to God, that's y'all's motherfucking ass. I'm gonna air this bitch out. I swear to God. Okay? I said, dead rats. I said, listen, I said, this, oh, hell no. I said, well, when the fuck are you sending somebody out here? I said, because nobody disclosed this to me that they think there could be a dead rat in the wall. She said, well, it will be probably tomorrow. I said, oh, fuck no, it's not. I said, it ain't gonna be no goddamn tomorrow. I said, you gonna send somebody out here today? Because I got 3 motherfucking kids in this motherfucking house. And if you telling me that I'm breathing in a dead fucking rat, it's up and it's motherfucking stuck. That's all I know. She said, okay, we're going to send somebody on out. I said, thank you. Okay. So now here comes the little exterminate man. He's just as happy as he can be. And I said, I have a bad problem. I said, I need you to please help me. He said, okay. I said, let me take you to the bathroom. So we got up there and he was like, he said, I've smelt dead rats. He said, this isn't a dead rat. He said, but I'm still going to go in your out areas and check for droppings, go around the house, see if I see any activity. And I was like, okay, you know, like, okay, please check for fucking activity. And so he comes back and he was like, we got nothing. He was like, there's nothing, we don't see anything. There's no droppings. There's nothing out of place. There's no wires chewed. There's nothing. He said, there's no sign of anything. And I said, well, thank you. I mean, thank God it ain't a dead rat. You know, like, I was so bothered, y'all. I mean, my ass was on the floor, okay? That right there gave me a heart attack, but we ain't even gotten to the motherfucking heart attack yet. Okay, so now we have part 6. So I'm calling these people back. I said, it ain't a fucking dead rat. I said, but thank you for letting me know that you thought it was a dead rat. I said, nobody informed me. Okay, I said, so who the fuck you getting out here next? I said, it ain't a dead rat. Your maintenance man don't know, and the fucking plumber's dumb as shit. And so they were like, we're going to have to get in contact with the vendor that put the bathtub in, and we're going to have to get them back out there to see, you know, maybe they know something and what's going on. I said, I don't give a fuck at this point. I said, you just get somebody the fuck out here. Okay, y'all, we're going on like day 4. Okay, this is like day 4, day 5. I'm about to die, you know. So they get the, well, for next, okay, my mama calls my brother over, and he does like contracting and stuff, okay. So he comes over and he was like sniffing it all out. He's like, yeah, this smells like rotted wood. He's like on all 4s, all up next to the toilet. I said, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know, just nasty. But he was like, I think it's the subflooring. They didn't replace the subflooring. They just threw this tub in there. This is a shitty tub job. Yeah, you need to get them motherfuckers out here. And I'm like, okay. So they send out the vendor the next day. So I'm telling the vendor man what my brother told me. And he was like, I think your brother's onto something. He was like, it's definitely probably the subflooring. He said, you know, it probably, the water, when they cracked the bathtub, they said the water probably, you know, came through and they didn't replace all that flooring. So all of that is just like rotted underneath there, okay? And so I was like, okay. So he's like, I'm going to send over an email with everything that I recommend that needs to be done. And I'll send it over to Tricon and they'll be in contact with you. And so I have an email of that. I got a screenshot. I'm going to put that in the last video so y'all can see everything that needed to be done in this bathroom.
Them people already knew.
Okay, y'all. So Tricon has called me. They're telling me that, you know, they received the estimate and everything that needed to be done. And they said that the job that needs to be done is going to take an estimate of 2 weeks, but my house would be a construction zone and would not be livable in those 2 weeks, so they were going to have to put me up in an Airbnb. And I said, okay, well, as long as it ain't at my motherfucking expense, I don't care, okay? And so she was like, well, you probably will have to pay for it first, and then we can reimburse you. I said, oh, fuck, no, we're not. I said, because I told you about this smell in this house before I even moved in. I asked you to put fucking plugins in. You're not going to tell me that I have to pay for an Airbnb and you're going to reimburse me. No, bitch, you're going to pay for it right now. Okay? So they scheduled it out. We pack all of our shit to go to this fucking Airbnb. I'm still going between both houses, between the Airbnb and that house. And I have forgot my work badge at the house. So I had went back, it was a Saturday. I went back, got my work badge, and something told me, like, check the mailbox. And I'm like, I haven't even been here long enough to get bills. I said, but I'm gonna check the mailbox. And so it's like a stack of mail, and it's all addressed to this woman. And I was like, oh, this is the woman that lived here before us. This is the bitch who cracked the bathtub. You know, I was like, I want to see how big this, you know, how big is she to crack the bathtub? I mean, I don't know why my thought process is like this, y'all, but it is. Okay, I can't help that. And so, honey, I get to looking up, you know, this woman's name on Google. And baby, I am floored. Okay, the first thing that came up is legacy.com and the obituary. And the girl was only 29 years old. Okay, and she had just died 3 months ago. Then I'm sitting there, I said, 3 months? 3 months? Oh, fuck! They said ain't nobody lived in this motherfucker for 3 months. So then I was like, oh my God, she's dead. Like, nobody's lived here in 3 months. She died 3 months ago. Like, what the fuck is going on? You know, like, I'm freaking the fuck out, okay? So I'm like, I'm on the way to work, and I worked in the ER at this time, baby. I'm pushing that motherfucker on the interstate. I'm pushing Snowball. Because I was like, when I get to work, baby, I'm about to do me some motherfucking research, okay? And I did some research, and y'all, woo! Okay, y'all, so I get to work, and I'm, like, freaked the fuck out, okay? Like, I tell my charge nurse, like everything that's going on, and, like, then the attendants, they chimed in. Like, everybody's invested, okay? Like, they all want to know. So, like, it's literally all of us at the nurse's station, and, like, oh, baby, we are searching. I am, like, I don't know what told me, but, like, my mama's neighborhood has, like, a Facebook page. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go look up on Facebook and see if this neighborhood has a Facebook page. And they did, okay? So I go to the Facebook page, and I just type in the address in the search on the group, okay? Y'all, the post that pulls up is like this long post. You're gonna see it attached to the last video. And it was like, come to our neighbor's visual and, you know, pray with the friends and family. You never know what's going on behind closed doors. And it was like, please stop by and just pray for the family or even the next family to call this home. I said, what? Hold the fuck on, you know? I said, boy, when I tell y'all I was about to cry, I done called my mama up. It's like 11:45 at night. I said, you got to answer, Lisa. You got to answer. I said, Mama, this is bad. This is bad. It's bad. So I messaged. Now listen, y'all. We've lived here for like 7 days now, okay? The girls are still in our fucking room because they refuse to sleep in their rooms. They said the house was haunted, okay? So they were like, it's haunted. The doors just open and close by themselves. And so I was like, dude, you know what? I said, I know y'all are just doing this shit because it's a new house. I said, get over it. You know, I'm like, you're sleeping in your rooms. I mean, they were waking up out of their sleep like boohoo crying. And I would just be like, fine, get on the floor. You know, like whatever. So mad. But I'm over here thinking they bullshitting, you know? So I messaged the lady that made the Facebook post, and I was like, hi, you know, I'm the family that calls this home now. I said, I just sent her a long message, and I'm like, I am like disturbed. I said, you know, my kids have been telling me that the house was haunted. I said, I checked my mail today. I said, I have mail addressed to this woman who died 3 months ago. I said, I don't know anything that's going on in this house that I live in. Like, I'm so scared, y'all. I didn't go home. I went and got my mama bed, okay? I went and slept with my damn mama because I was too scared to go home. All right. So I sent her the message, and she said, OMG, call me now. I said, oh, fuck. So I told them, I said, I gotta go outside. Okay, y'all, so it's like midnight at this time. Probably like, yeah, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. And she is like, she said, I just want you to say out loud what you just inboxed me so my boyfriend can hear. And I was like, my kid said the house is haunted. I said, and I got mail that's addressed to a dead woman. I said, and I just don't know what's going on. And I saw your Facebook post, and I need help. She was like, I literally have chills. She said, I'm so freaked out by this. Now listen, this is March of last year. She was like, my lease is up in May. And she said, when my lease is up, she said, I am the fuck out of here. She was like, she said, you don't know what I've been through. Like, and I'm like, oh my God, like, tell me, you know? And so she said that one day, like, a girl had moved into this house. She was a 29-year-old single woman. She said she was absolutely beautiful, like a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader, like just perfect. She said she had her Louis Vuitton and dressed to the tens and her nice car. She said, this is the only time I ever saw her. And she said, she walked outside, and she said, I went over and greeted her and, you know, introduced myself and said, hey, I'm your neighbor. And she had disclosed to her that she didn't have any family. Her best friend lived in California. She's from California, but she's stationed down here. She's in the military. So she literally was in South Carolina by herself with nobody, has no family, and her one friend is literally across the country in California. And she said, we had a great little conversation. She said she shut her garage. She went about her day. She said that's the last time I ever saw her. Okay, y'all. So she told me that she went to go take her dog for a walk, probably like a day or 2 days later after she had this conversation with her. And she was like, I saw she had a package on her porch. And she was like, I kind of just was like, oh, look, she's got a package, and kept on walking, whatever. She said, then 2 weeks passed. She said, I take my dog for a walk every day. She was like, the package was still there. And she was like, I was like, it's kind of odd, but let me just mind my business, you know? She said, then 2 months has passed. And she said, the package was still on her porch. She said, I've never seen her again. The garage has never opened. She's like, I work from home, so like I'm home all day. Like, no activity from this house. She said, but she was like, but she's in the military. So, like, maybe she got deployed. Like, you know, she's active duty. She was like, maybe they just sent her off somewhere. She said, so I didn't think nothing of it. She said, then, like, 3 months go by. And, like, 3.5 months. She said, and I started smelling this smell in my house. She said, every time I turned my air on, she said, it was so bad that I couldn't even describe what it smells like to you. She said, and I also rent from the same rental company. She said, so I called them out. Maintenance came out. She said, They checked my sewer lines. They checked, they had people come out and clean the air ducts. They could not get the smell out, and nobody has an explanation for the smell. She said, so I literally just had to sit here and suffer with this smell that I can't even describe to you. She said, it was awful. She said, and it was every time I turned my air on. She said, some days I just try to keep it off because I just couldn't tolerate the smell. Okay, y'all. So, like, we're still on the phone, y'all. I'm outside in the ambulance bay, like this, like just mouth on the ground as she's telling me everything. She said, so now at this point, we're like 3 to 4 months later. She said, I was in my house taking a nap. She said, and I literally hear banging. She said, our houses are so close. Like, she can literally hear when I would close the front door and shit. Like, it was horrible. That's the only complaint about that house is, like, they were really, like, smack on top of each other. So she was like, I hear banging. She said, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. She said, so I go out there, like, the hell's going on? She said, there's, like, police all over the yard. And she said, there's this one woman and then standing like with the police. She said, but I mean, she said, it is covered. She said, all the neighbors outside. She said, so I'm the nosy neighbor, and I walked over like, what's going on? Like, I'm the neighbor. She said that the girl chimes in and she said, this is my best friend. She moved here 4 months ago and she's never answered a phone call, never answered a FaceTime. She said, it's not like her. So she said, I flew all the way out here to do a welfare check because I don't know what's going on. And she, y'all, look, I don't know if you can see, I got chills. So she said that nobody would come to the door. We have like the codes on this door, you know? And so, but now this door had like window panes on either side. So they had like the fire department, all that out there, and they have a sledgehammer and they bust out the window to, you know, get in there so they can open the door. Okay. She said whenever they busted the window out, the smell that came out of the house was like, she said it was the same smell I've been smelling in my house for months. She said, but it was so bad that multiple of the police officers immediately like threw up in the front yard because of the smell. She said it is something I've never, like, she was like, I'm being serious, like, in May I'm gone. And she is like crying as she's telling me all this. And I'm like, like stunned for words, okay? We're about to get into the next part. So she said that, so now we got people throwing up in the yard. 3 of them go inside the house once they get the door open. She said everybody's just standing there like just looking, like waiting. She said 3 of them go in. She said they were in there maybe a minute. She said they came out and they threw up in the front yard along with the rest of them. She said we were all like, they said they couldn't tell them like what was going on or what they saw or whatever. And I mean, she's over here like, I'm freaking out. She said, because this is the same smell that I've been smelling in my house. She said, so this happened at 4 p.m. She said all the neighbors stayed outside and waited until 1 a.m. And that's when somebody finally, like, they said, she said, I already knew somebody was dead. She said, so we all waited for the body. Like, and I was like, oh my God, you know, like, y'all, I can't even describe how I felt learning all these details. But, like, I was literally in tears because I was so disturbed, you know? So 1 o'clock finally rolls around because, you know, all the neighbors are out there waiting. She said, you know, they were looking for a body. She said, but they come out the house with a whole fucking bathtub. Like, she said, like, the whole plastic, like, the entire tub, like something you would go see out of Lowe's, like the whole tub just out of the wall. She said that's what they came out with, is a bathtub. Well, days go by, details arise. They figure out what happened, the neighbors, everybody does. The woman committed I don't think I can say it on here, I think it'll flag my video, took her own life fully clothed in the bathtub. When she shot herself, the bullet ricocheted, cracked the bathtub. Then her body sat in this water for 4 months before anybody found her. So what I was smelling in the house was her dead body, all her bodily fluids, her blood, everything that had soaked through the subflooring underneath this tub. And it had already got into like the insulation. It got into like the whole frame of the house. Because we're talking about like July all the way, well, August to like November. So heat, like insane, okay? Like, so they brought out the bathtub because there was nothing, her whole body had already disintegrated. Like, it was gone. There was nothing left of her because she sat for so long. And then to top it all off, one of the doctors I work with, he was like, well, when the human body submerges in water like that, it eventually just blows up. And I was like, what? Y'all, I'm like, I had to go home. I couldn't work the rest of the night, okay? I couldn't work the rest of the night. I went home, I cried to my mama. So literally, I'm living in this house, and what I was smelling is this woman's body that disintegrated and was in the fucking wood, okay? I mean, it's just like like I said, I can't even describe the smell. Like, and the fucking people, these rental people, did not even tell me, like, oh, hey, by the way, you know, the bathtub cracked really because she sat in there and took her own life. And, you know, like, these people didn't even replace the subflooring. They took out that bathtub. Y'all, they just sat a new bathtub on top of it. That was it. Y'all, I get off the phone. I thank this woman for all her information. Like I said, I go home and I go get in my mama's bed. I am so disturbed. And the fact that that man walked me through this house and told me it was a fucking vacancy smell. That motherfucker knew what the fuck went on in this motherfucker. He knew exactly what the fuck happened, y'all. He lied right there in my motherfucking face, and you know he got a text from my ass. He sure the fuck did. I said, bitch, you got me fucked up. I said, you know I got 3 kids. I said, you put me in a house with a biohazard? With a body? A disintegrated body seeping through the wood? And like, oh, it's okay, bitch. Breathe it in. I mean, like, y'all, I have never, like, I sent a 5-page email to Tricon. And I mean, I put in there, like, I gave them a list of everything I wanted. And I said, if you don't do this shit, I'm going to sue the fuck out of y'all. I swear to God. But, like, the man finally does text me back, y'all. You know what he says? He said, person to person, I'm sorry. He said, but person or employer to person, he said, I was just doing my job. I can't disclose. I don't have to voluntarily disclose stuff because it would make the property not, like, nobody would want to rent it. Y'all want to know the most disturbing fact, though? 2 days later, like, they're in the process of moving me to another house at this point because I never went back. 2 days later, though, I got an email that True Leela or whatever it is said there's a new home for rent. They had already listed the motherfucker back up for rent. So I've moved into my house that I'm in now. That's how we got here. This is not the house I picked, but it was the only house in the school district, and I didn't want to move my kids. So that's how we got here. But from what I've heard, 2 people have moved in that house and moved right out, just like I did. And I told them, I said, y'all some dirty motherfuckers. I said, if you don't think people talk, I said, you're crazy as fuck. I said, because just how I found out, they gonna find out too. I said, and that is just shitty. That is, like, you need to burn this whole motherfucker. Like, you need to burn it down and start all over. Because that smell is never gonna get out. Never. Like, y'all, the sad part is, my brother that came back, he came back over and inspected everything, and then, like, the day of, there was water damage in the kitchen and in the garage, and it's, like, bubbled up on the ceiling, but they painted over it. But when I took a shower that night, I, like, reactivated, like, you know, pissed it back off, I guess, and, like, a new water spot had developed, and, like, you can clearly see that, like, it's not a water stain. It was, like, red and yellow, okay? And that was what was in my kitchen. I've never been so disturbed. I, like, to this day, I'm still disturbed. That shit is insane. I've never went through anything like that in my life. But of course it would be me. It would just have to be me, y'all. But on the next video, I'm going to show y'all a picture of the house. I'm going to show y'all the water damage. I'm going to show you the emails that I sent. I'm going to show you a picture of the visual that they had at the fucking house. One of my friends, well, we're not friends anymore, but she found it on the TikTok. And I can't find the lady on TikTok anymore, but I screenshotted it. And, I mean, it's just, y'all, what the fuck? This is not something that happen every day, honey. It's not. But it would happen to Savannah, I swear to God. Any wild shit, just pass it my way. Okay, y'all, so this is the house. I told y'all, absolutely beautiful. It was just perfect. I loved it. This is the message that I sent to the lady, telling her that the house had
OMG, this is crazy work. Unfortunately, like, they have to do their job. They're getting paid to rent out a house for a company, and they can't tell you pretty much of nothing. But to me personally, this will bother me. Like, me renting out a house to a woman with children and knowing it's a biohazard, like, I just couldn't do it. I mean, I just couldn't take the job, even though I got to feed my own family. And yes, that is true. We as healthcare workers see and smell all kinds of stuff, but literally smelling a deceased, like, bodily fluid is a whole nother story. Like, her blood, bodily fluids, and all was seeped into that house, into that floor. Her spirit, everything was still there. And yes, I do believe in spirits, baby. Everything was literally still there. Like, there is no way nobody can tell me that her spirit wasn't still there. But to rent out a house over and over again, and not only rent it out, but rent it out to people with children, is just crazy. Right? You know, people all about the money. And if you really all about the money, get the situation fixed and you know, done before you rent it out. Like, get the floors changed, you know, seep through the wood. Why put a tub over top of it? And I feel like they already knew, they were already told, and they decided to go the cheap route by just placing the tub. It wasn't that company fault that placed that tub there. It was the company that owned the house. They decided to go the cheap route and just replace the tub and call it a day. But they was advised to remove all the wood and everything, and they decided not to, based on the money. And if you're basing it on the money, baby, you're gonna lose money every time, because people just gonna move in, smell that stinking ass smell, and move right back out. move right back out. It's no telling what toxins her children breathed in. No telling. And then for the neighbors and stuff, if it wasn't for her checking that mail and being curious, she would never have thought to reach out to the neighbors. The neighbor was even smelling the same smell. Come on. This is how you know that big companies don't really care. They will put you in anything just for the money instead of repairing it, fixing it, and then moving people in. I mean, people gonna find out either way. There's Facebook, all types of social media that's going to point them in a direction of, baby, somebody died in your house. Yeah, somebody died in your house, even if you can't smell the smell. I feel so bad for her and her children having to deal with this, but I'm glad she just finally moved out, because baby, if I would have smelled that smell when I first moved in, F the incense, F the plugs, baby, me and my children and my husband, we're gone. Peace out. I want my money back. And furthermore, you ain't even gonna get my money, because that walkthrough would have told it and did it all. You guys, drop down in the comment section what you think about her story. Would you would have stayed in that house and tried to spray stuff and try to get the smell out? Or would you would have moved out the first time you walked through? What would you would have done? You guys, if you like drama, if you like tea, heck, if you just like to hear somebody else's story, this is the channel for you. Hype me up, subscribe, and join the family. And if you are returning, I really appreciate you guys. Hype me up, like, share, and also comment what you think about this story. You guys, I hope you all have a blessed day. Peace.